Hello, I'm Mary Lee LaBay, and I'm a past life regressionist, and I instruct professional certification courses in past life regression and hypnotherapy, as well as astrology and tarot. Anyway, I've had a lifelong interest in past life regression and have been actively exploring my own lifetimes since 1987. And I began providing past life regressions for people by about 1989 or 90. And then when I got my certification as a hypnotherapist, I realized the power of combining the hypnotherapy techniques with the past life regression to be able to do healing within those past life sessions. So rather than going on a tour, a sightseeing tour of a past life, just exploring who was I, what was I doing, what happened, which is what I had been experiencing for all those years, I realized we could actually affect very powerful change and healing within the past life session instead of bringing the trauma and the effect of those lifetimes into this lifetime. By doing the healing work there, we start to smooth that out. We start to put perspective and ease into those lifetimes, wellness, and so there's less baggage that comes into our incarnation in the present. Vice versa, we can heal ourselves in the present, and that will begin to make changes and heal who we are in those other lifetimes. I think in a lot of ways it's easier or maybe more effective to change the dynamic that's happening in the past life and allow that to affect us here. And the reason is who we are here in this lifetime is the focal point of our consciousness. So we have a grand soul, we have a higher consciousness that houses all the memories from all those lifetimes. Even if we don't know about those lifetimes, they will be affecting us. They will find ways, if we've had trauma, for instance, it'll find ways to affect our personality, our emotional responses, maybe PTSD. Maybe we're more easily triggered by events or situations that we wouldn't normally be affected by here. And even the decisions that we make could be affected by some of these things that have occurred to us in other lifetimes. Imagine if you've been killed or tortured or betrayed or abandoned, how that could affect you even here. For instance, years ago, I worked with a young lady who had been an alcoholic, and she was in a halfway house. She was in recovery, but it was a struggle, and she really wanted to understand why she had turned to alcohol and why this addiction had shown up in her life. And what had happened in her life was when she was an early teen, I want to say 11 or 12 years old, her parents got divorced, and there was real anxiety around that happening and the loss of her father in the nuclear family. And so she had turned to alcohol at that time. So by the time I worked with her, she had been an alcoholic for several years. And so we went into a past life, and she discovered that she had been a man in her past life and married to a wonderful woman that he loved very much. And at some point in their relationship, the woman died. And the man was absolutely beside himself. He just didn't know how to cope. He didn't know what to do with himself. And he turned to alcohol to dampen those feelings. And so he became an alcoholic, and it was the trigger, it sort of started that process of when things get really bad and you're lonely or abandoned or um, something strong like that happens, then we anesthetize ourselves with alcohol. And we went into a couple of other lifetimes, and again, that was what was happening. That when things got really challenging for her, her MO was to turn to alcohol. And so at that time in my career, this was 24, 25 years ago, 26 years ago. We're in 2020 now. At that point in my career, I did not really have the tools. I had not gotten my hypnotherapy certification. So I didn't have the tools to do any other healing with her. It was the sightseeing tour. But in this case, that was all she needed. And so she made her changes, but in that moment, we don't know because we need to see how that unfolds in real life when she comes out of the trance state. So luckily for me, about a year and a half later, I ran into her. I was at an event and I was in the lobby. There was a band playing in the lobby. It was a big metaphysical conference. And I was talking to one of the band members because he was a friend of mine. And so we were just sitting there or standing there chatting. And she came running up to me. And I didn't really even realize who she was at first, but she gave me a big hug and reminded me. And she was about 8 months pregnant. And she said that event, that session that we had, completely turned around her life because by understanding the roots of her addiction and how she had set that up in her subconscious mind as the antidote to challenge, by understanding that she never went back to another drink. She said, I am completely free of this addiction. I don't even want to go there. And meanwhile, she had met a wonderful, wonderful man, gotten married, and was about to deliver her child. And she said, my life is just awesome now. So just the sightseeing tour, just exploring your past lives can really help in understanding the root causes of some of these behaviors, addictions, responses, reactions that we have, personality quirks. And it can also help us to understand our talents, our purpose, our relationships when we've been with, the same people in other lifetimes. It can give us this wellspring of wisdom and insights into who we are. Now, adding the tools and techniques of hypnotherapy, NLP, and these other tools, the psychological tools that we use in the sessions and the way that I teach it, I've kind of spearheaded this movement of being able to combine these powerful techniques into working with people in their past lives. So now, if we were to go into that lifetime, there would be a lot of other ways that we could make that even more powerful. So, if you would like to learn the techniques of hypnotherapy and past life regression to be able to bring your holistic practice to a new level of success, I'm happy to talk with you about the course that I teach. It's online on Teachable, and I also offer optional live Zoom calls in conjunction with that to really make sure that you are understanding and applying the techniques and keep you accountable so that you continue through the course, give you practice partners, all of that. So please check it out on Teachable, and I'll put the link down below the video. All right, thank you.